Today, outside, it is a really, really hot day. I was out in the garden, but I had to come inside because the sun was so hot, shining on my head and my shoulders. I got so hot, I thought I should come inside. But also, that hot sun reminded me of a story from a country that is really, really hot. Shall we see if we're ready for a story? This is the big bowl. Because I'm so hot, I wish it was full of ice cream. Oh, it's chilly. But it isn't. This is the big bowl, and this is the teeny tiny shiny spoon. I'm going to make a noise with the big bowl and the teeny tiny shiny spoon, and if you can hear it, it means you're very nearly ready for the story. Here we go. I heard it. We can hear the big bowl, but this is the middle-sized bowl. I'm so hot. I wish this bowl was full right to the top with fresh strawberries and cream, because I'd just eat them. So juicy. All up. But it isn't. I'll make a noise with a middle-sized bowl and the teeny tiny shiny spoon, and if you can hear this, you're very, very nearly ready for the story. Here we go. Did you hear it? Good. We can hear the big bowl. We can hear the middle-sized bowl. Uh-oh. This is the teeny tiny bowl. There's nothing in it at all. But if you can hear this, you are absolutely, definitely, completely ready for the story. Here we go. Then, now is time for story time, story time, story time. Now is time for story time. Let's find somewhere that's comfy to sit. You might be sitting on your bed, you might be sitting on a chair, you might be on somebody's lap, you might be anywhere, and in fact, I happen to know there's one person at least who is listening to the story sitting on a potty. Well, this is how the story begins. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Listen. It might happen again. What was that? Oh, look. This is how the story begins. This is how the story begins. Wait a minute. Did you hear that? I'm sure. Did you hear it? I'm sure I heard something. Listen again. Can you hear it? Maybe this is how the story begins. Wait a minute. Did you hear that? Is that you making that noise? Oh, is that you making that noise? Oh no, look. Oh, surely the story can begin now. This is how the story begins. Did you hear that? That sounded big. Listen again. Oh, look. I think the story might be about a frog. Well, once upon a time and long, long ago and far, far away over the seas in Australia, it was hot. The sun rose high, high in the sky, and it shone on the mountains, and it shone on the forests, and it shone on the land, and it shone on the rivers, and it shone on the lakes. Oh, and all the animals were very, very hot and very, very thirsty. So all of the animals made their way to a big pond. Now this pond was deep and this pond was wide, and there were lots of things inside, like fishes and weeds and a very, 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 very big frog. And his name was Tiddalik. Tiddalik was very big. Tiddalik was very green. He was probably the greenest frog you have ever seen. And Tiddalik liked to swim about with just his head showing out of the water. It's very quiet. That's because his mouth is closed. All of the other animals got to the edge of the water and started to drink. But just at that moment, Tiddalik opened his big mouth wide and Tiddalik started to drink up all the water in the lake. He slurped and he gobbled and he drank and he gulped. And down went the fish into his tummy, and down went the weeds into his tummy, and down went some stones too into his tummy. But he said, "I'm still thirsty." "Stop," said the animals. "There's going to be no water for us." But slurp, gulp, double, drink, went Tiddalik until there was only one little bit of water left. "Oh, don't drink it all, leave some for us," said the animals. But Tiddalik did not listen, and he just went "It's nearly all gone. There's only one drip left." Well, the other animals didn't know what to do, and they looked at each other and said, "We better go to the river." And Tiddalik said, "Good idea." And Tiddalik set off, jumping towards the river. Now, when your tummy is full of water and you are already a very big frog, it is very hard to jump. So he went like this: jump, 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 jump. And he he still managed to get to the river before all of the other animals. Now, do you know, the river was deep, and the river was wide, and there were lots of things inside, like fish and weed and stones and crabs, all sorts of things. And Tiddalik started to drink. He opened his mouth wide and he sucked all the water inside. He gulped and he slurped and he drank and he gulped and he slurped and he drank. And all of the river went inside, and all of the weed went inside Tiddalik, and he grew bigger and bigger and bigger. "Stop!" said the other animals. "There's going to be nothing for us to drink." But do you think Tiddalik listened? No, he didn't. He drank, and he drank, and he drank, until there was only one little bit of river and weed left. "Oh, leave us a little bit, Tiddalik." But Tiddalik opened his mouth wide and sucked the last bit inside. "I'm still thirsty," said Tiddalik. So Tiddalik had eaten all the water in the lake. He'd eaten all the water in the river. Next, he looked for something a little bit smaller, perhaps a puddle or a pool. And he found a little puddle and a pool, and he drank, and he drank, and he licked, and he slurped, and he drank it all up. "Oh dear," said all the animals, "we're going to have nothing to drink." Tiddalik, now, his tummy was so big he could hardly move, and he sat down in the sun to go to sleep. And all the while, he kept his mouth tight shut. "What are we going to do?" said the animals. "What are we going to do? There's nowhere to drink. We can't drink from the lake. We can't drink from the river. We can't even drink from the puddles." Along jumped Kangaroo. "I know what to do. I know what to do. We just need to get that frog to open his mouth even just a little bit, and all of the water will come tumbling out, and then we'll have plenty to drink." "Good idea, Kangaroo," said the other animals. "How are we going to make him open his mouth?" "I know. We need to make him laugh," said Kangaroo. Said the other animals. "How are you going to do that?" "Easy," said Kangaroo. "I'm going to tell him jokes." "Good idea," said the other animals. Surely some funny jokes would make Tiddalik open his mouth. So Kangaroo tried telling Tiddalik some jokes. "Tiddalik, wake up!" Tiddalik opened his big eyes. "I've got some jokes for you, Tiddalik. Are you ready?" Tiddalik didn't say anything. Kangaroo tried his first joke. "Okay, why did the kangaroo jump across the road?" Go on. Tiddalik just did this. "I'll tell you." "To get to the other side." "Oh, to get to the other." Well, Kangaroo thought it was very funny. Kangaroo jumped and laughed so much he landed on the ground with a bump. But Tiddalik's mouth stayed tight shut. Not one drip. Not one drop. "I'll try again," said Kangaroo. "I've got another joke. Are you ready?" Tiddalik just did this. Kangaroo said, "Knock, knock. Knock, knock." The other animals said, "Who's there?" And Kangaroo said, "It's me, Kangaroo." Kangaroo thought this was such a funny joke. But Tiddalik, I don't think Tiddalik thinks it's very funny. Tiddalik just said this. Not one drip, not one drop did Tiddalik spill from his mouth. Tortoise came along. "I'll try," he said. "I'm sure to be able to make him laugh. I'll try pulling my funniest faces." Tortoise tried to pull her funniest face, and it looked a little bit like this. Maybe you've got some funny faces. Maybe you could show your funny faces to Tiddalik and see if you could get Tiddalik to open his mouth. That's a good one. Is Tiddalik opening his mouth? No. No matter how many funny faces Turtle pulled, Tiddalik did not open his mouth. "Let me try," said Snake. "What are you going to do to make Tiddalik laugh and open his mouth?" "Me," said Snake. "I'm going to do my best dancing." So Snake started to dance, and Tiddalik sat down to watch. Now Snake was very long, and Snake was very wriggly, and when Snake started to dance, his body turned round and round and round. He danced to the left, and he danced to the right, and he danced in the air, and he danced everywhere, and he danced forwards, and he danced backwards, and he got himself into a bit of a muddle until all at once, oh my goodness, there's Snake, I've got myself in a knot. Oh, I want to make it a new one. No. Poor Snake could hardly talk, and Tiddalik got a little bit closer. "Oh, no, just sit there, do something to help me," said the Snake. But Tiddalik just sat there. But round the corners of Tiddalik's mouth, a little smile was starting. Tiddalik started to giggle. And when Tiddalik started to giggle, a tiny little dribble of water came out of his mouth. And after he started to giggle, he started to laugh. And he opened his mouth wide and... all of the water flowed outside. "Oh," said the animals, "thank goodness we can drink." Well, Turtle came to drink, and he had a swim too. And as for Kangaroo, Kangaroo had a drink too. But poor old Snake, Snake was still in a knot. "I'll help," said Tortoise, and very slowly and very carefully, Tortoise untangled Snake. "Oh, thank you," said Snake. "It's all right," said Tortoise. As for Tiddalik just disappeared underneath the water and swam right to the bottom of the lake. And that's the end of that story. And now it's time to do this. Now is the end of story time, story time, story time. Now is the end of story time. So it's time to say goodbye. But I might see you a little bit later with some ideas of something we could make to go with the story. Bye.